cousin and my grandmother
Yeah.
was born in Taiwan.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
No, I was born in Taiwan, but I left very young, so my Chinese is very young. It's very bad. But for the last 4 or 5 years now, I've been living back in Taiwan. I think it's much nicer than Silicon Valley now.
Yeah, and now I'm 24 years old, and in the future, I want to create a platform as well as YouTube. So I have a question.
Yeah.
What is the most important thing to create a service which can make the world better?
That make the
World better. What?
Well, I mean, I still think.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the kind of longer version, right? But companies like AMD, like Nvidia, YouTube, Twitch, like the gaming, YouTube. These are all started by like Taiwanese entrepreneurs. But in Taiwan, they have like TSMC, but other than that, for the last 20 years, no internet startups, right? And they keep always asking, like, why is it that when the Taiwanese go to Silicon Valley, they can create these companies, but when they're in Taiwan, no startups are created? And I really think it's just, to be honest, it's just in Silicon Valley, they're not scared to fail, and like if you looked at LinkedIn profiles of people from Silicon Valley, they still write in their resumes companies, successful companies or failed companies, like bankrupt companies, and it's okay. It's like everybody just assumes that when you start a company, you learn, you get great experience, and even if it fails, you just try again. I noticed in Taiwan, I don't know if it's true here, but in Taiwan they're very they do a lot of calculating and thinking before they go create their startup. And I think yes, like all startups, there's the 90% chance that it may not work, but you just have to try it. And within 3 to 6 months, you can know if it's gonna fail, and then you just do it again and again.
I think it's very difficult to prevent the service which can make the world better in Asia or in Japan, because in the world a lot of people speak English, but in Japan there few people speak in English, so maybe there are the difficulty to speak English or something like that. So maybe I hope in the future I want to prevent service from Japan or Taiwan, because now I'm born in Japan, and my family also was born Taiwan. So maybe I want to ask the question: if you try to create service which can change the world now, what things do you start now?
That's hard. I mean, I do think that something is going to continually change with what they're doing with AI. But it's a lot of the AI still is on the back end with a lot of computational power, and it's still Google and Microsoft and then maybe Nvidia and a few of these providers that owns that. But I think there's a lot of potential with the AI. I don't. It's hard to know exactly what it's going to be, but I do. If I were going to be investing, it would be in the AI space.
I see. Maybe we need a team to change the great service. So I want to ask the question: what's the most important thing to make a great team? Because sometimes people have a lot of trouble to make the team better.
I think one thing that I've been trying to do in Taiwan is actually have the CEOs or the founders actually live in Silicon Valley, and then they have their team in Taiwan, but they just every night they have a company meeting. But in the morning time, I think it's important to have. I still think it's important to be in Silicon Valley, to be connected to the VCs, to the investors, to be connected to maybe partners, like business partners, and I think you have to be physically there. It's too difficult to do if if you have to wait 1 or 2 days before some of these things happen. So that's the suggestion to the teams in Taiwan, that if you want to succeed globally, you have to have at least the founders there in Silicon Valley.
I have sometimes I see some news, and then there it do maybe sometimes yesterday I see the news, and then the Elon Musk. Do you know Elon Musk?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also respect Elon Musk. So I have a question. From your point, what is the greatest thing about Elon Musk? Because he has a lot of great service, like SpaceX or something, Tesla, something like that. So what is the most great things what's the most great thing Elon Musk have?
Yeah, I think for me, when I was working with him, I think it's not following kind of conventions. Really not following what people say is possible or not possible. Right? I think every one of his breakthrough startups, you can say Tesla, people said battery's not going to be enough, people are not going to install this at home, people are not going to be willing to drive electric cars, right? Tesla took off like SpaceX. People kept thinking that it was impossible for the rockets to come back and to reuse the rockets, but after 4 or 5 years of a lot of failures, they were able to do it. And I think even with what he's doing with Twitter or X, I think it's doing very well, even though he the first week after the acquisition, he fired many of the engineers, but he's starting to have a subscription base. He's actually starting to have revenue sharing. So yeah, I think for over 10 years, they weren't able to monetize on Twitter, but it looks like he's able to do it. So I think he just, I think there are a lot of things that maybe by convention people say it's not possible, you shouldn't do it, but I think Elon is somebody that always did it. And even when we were working with him at PayPal, because PayPal and X.com, it was a merger, a 50-50 merger, and he was trying to do a new banking system that was online that you could use, kind of like PayPal. You can pay to different accounts on the same bank, and that was very new at the time. So he was changing, the financial industry, the car automobile industry, the space exploration industry, and every time he did it, people said it's not possible.
I see. Thank you. Now I'm young, so in the future I try to create the platform like YouTube. And thank you so much.
Cool. Good luck.
Thank you.